Imagine waking up in the middle of the night and suddenly seeing headlines across every major American news network. Massive explosions reported in Tehran. US and Israeli forces launch coordinated strikes on Iran. Within minutes, military analysts, journalists, and governments around the world realized something historic had just happened. For the first time in years, the United States and Israel had launched a massive coordinated military campaign deep inside Iranian territory. Fighter jets, long-range bombers, drones, and precision missiles were all part of the operation. And suddenly, the entire world began asking the same terrifying question. Is this the beginning of a much larger war in the Middle East? Because when three of the most powerful military forces in the region become involved in the same conflict, the consequences can reach far beyond their borders. Tonight, we're breaking down exactly what happened, why the United States and Israel launched this massive strike on Iran, and what could happen next. To understand this moment, we have to go back several years. For decades, Iran and Israel have been locked in a silent but dangerous rivalry. It wasn't always fought with traditional armies or open battlefields. Instead, it unfolded through covert operations, cyber attacks, proxy conflicts, and intelligence warfare. Israel has long argued that Iran's nuclear ambitions represent an existential threat. Israeli leaders repeatedly warned that if Iran ever developed a nuclear weapon, it could completely shift the balance of power in the Middle East. The United States also shared similar concerns. Washington imposed sanctions, organized diplomatic negotiations, and attempted to slow Iran's nuclear program through international agreements. But those diplomatic agreements repeatedly collapsed. And over time, the tensions slowly built toward a breaking point. In February 2026, that breaking point finally arrived. According to multiple defense sources, the United States and Israel launched a massive joint operation targeting Iranian military leadership, missile infrastructure, and nuclear-related facilities. The operation reportedly involved waves of coordinated strikes across multiple Iranian cities, including locations near Tehran and other strategic military sites. Advanced bombers dropped precision-guided munitions designed to destroy underground missile launch facilities. Stealth aircraft targeted command centers, and electronic warfare systems disrupted Iranian communications and air defense networks before the strikes even began. The objective was clear: disable Iran's ability to launch large-scale missile attacks before the conflict could escalate further. But the operation quickly expanded beyond a single strike. Within the first week of the campaign, thousands of Iranian targets were reportedly hit as part of a broader military strategy designed to cripple the country's offensive capabilities. Air bases, drone facilities, missile launchers, and naval infrastructure were all targeted. Satellite images began circulating online showing smoke rising from multiple military locations. For many analysts, the scale of the operation was shocking. Some experts described it as the largest American military action in the Middle East in decades. But the story didn't end there. Iran responded. Within hours of the first strikes, Iranian officials condemned the attacks and vowed retaliation. Soon after, missile and drone attacks were launched toward U.S. military bases and allied countries across the region. Air defense systems in several Gulf countries were suddenly activated. Missiles were intercepted in the skies. Warning sirens sounded in multiple cities, and once again, the world watched as the conflict escalated. This is where things become extremely dangerous, because conflicts in the Middle East rarely stay contained within one country. Regional alliances, proxy groups, and strategic partnerships mean that a single confrontation can quickly expand into a much larger war. Iran has strong connections with multiple armed groups across the region. Israel has powerful military capabilities and intelligence networks. And the United States maintains military bases across several Middle Eastern countries. This creates a complex and volatile environment where any retaliation could trigger a chain reaction. military experts warn that escalation could come in many different forms. Drone strikes on military bases, missile attacks on strategic infrastructure, cyber attacks targeting financial systems, or disruptions to international shipping routes. Each of these scenarios carries global consequences. One of the most important factors is energy supply. Nearly 1/5 of the world's oil supply passes through the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow shipping corridor near Iran. If conflict disrupts that route, global oil prices could surge dramatically, affecting economies around the world. Financial markets already reacted nervously to the escalating conflict. Energy companies began adjusting supply forecasts. Airlines reconsidered flight routes over the Middle East, and global leaders urgently called for restraint. At the same time, military strategists began analyzing the balance of power. The United States possesses the most advanced military technology in the world, including stealth bombers, aircraft carriers, and long-range missile systems. Israel also maintains one of the most sophisticated defense systems on the planet, including its famous missile defense network. Iran, however, has spent decades preparing for asymmetric warfare. Instead of competing directly with the massive military power of the United States, Iran invested heavily in ballistic missiles, drone technology, and regional alliances. This means any prolonged conflict could become unpredictable and difficult to control. History has shown that many major wars begin with a single escalation. One strike, one retaliation, one decision made in the moment of tension, and suddenly the situation expands far beyond what anyone originally expected. Right now, the world is watching carefully. Diplomats are working behind closed doors, military forces remain on high alert, and intelligence agencies are monitoring every movement across the region. Because the next decision made by any side involved could determine what happens next. Will tensions cool down through diplomacy, or will this conflict escalate into something far larger? For now, the skies over the Middle East may appear calm again. But beneath that silence, military planners, political leaders, and intelligence agencies are preparing for every possible scenario. Because in geopolitics, silence rarely means peace. Sometimes, it simply means the next move has not yet been made.